Hello, Carmi Sears here for the portfolio course for the end of the program, Masters of Educational Technology. I would first like to start off by thanking the professors in this program for their knowledgeable insight, caring professionalism, and because I know teachers work well off the clock, I'd like to thank you for your time. You know, I've been called a good teacher, and I believe that I am. But is good enough? Not for me. I want to be great. I want to not only be remembered as the teacher who was comforting and caring and kind in the classroom, I also want to be the one they remember for teaching them to read, write, listen, and speak, and be a good citizen, and to do it well. There's dignity for them in this, and I believe that with my whole heart. Education is not only the great equalizer, it's what brings us to our humanity. So this is why I entered the Boise State University Educational Technology program. You know, let's be honest. Kids are different now. They learn differently, they grow differently, and they develop differently. You know, I've watched a steady change over the years go from kids who could handle putting the pen on the paper, or the lectures of 40-minute lectures, or open your grammar book to exercise 5. But you know what? It isn't cutting it anymore. Kids learn differently. They're techno-savvy, they're digital natives, and I had to learn to conform. I was losing ground. You know, we know a lot more now. Howard Gardner gave us multiple intelligence theory, and we know about the modes of learning, and we should be using them, and technology is a wonderful way to do that. I went looking for things to add to my teaching repertoire in the hopes that I would come up with some great lessons that my kids would enjoy and grow from. I think I succeeded in that. I learned how to write a synthesis paper, how to make a web page, how to make a virtual tour, a web quest. I learned to blog, wiki. I was an editor. I got to edit. I learned to evaluate and design instructional posters and make messages that are meaningful and constructive. I made some pretty cool lessons. I learned to use a video camera. I learned how to use a webcam. I made movies! All very good, all very enlightening. It didn't come, however, all that easily. I did have to spend a lot of time doing it. I ate a lot of these. And yes, I'll be honest, munched on a few of these in the late hours of the night, trying my hardest to make a good lesson, trying to weed my way through. Sometimes technology can really make you want to pull your hair out. I did far more than I thought possible. I made some lessons that even impressed myself. I started off pretty basic, in fact, quite rudimentary, with just pages that could link. And I was so proud of myself when I finally made it work. It took a lot of practice. And now, over time, with steady learning and steady venturing out and trying things, and being able to learn hand coding a little bit better, I've actually become more dynamic in my web pages, and I think it will only get better. I'm hoping so. As a matter of fact, I would think that even this portfolio page itself is a reflection of how well I'm doing when it comes to making these sites. You know, I'm going to keep updating, and I'm going to keep advancing, and I'm going to keep getting better at this, because students are learning again. They're learning again. You know, I already had some pretty good scores on those CST tests that we take here in California that help indicate our AYP, our annual yearly progress. Well, I'm going to let you in on a little secret. I spent some countless hours as department chair, along with my staff, trying to find seamless, wonderful ways to infuse technology into our existing curricula. And while we still have a ways to go, a few more of these to eat. I believe that we've come quite far. My little school that's an in-program improvement program not only did well this year, we exceeded our annual yearly progress by 20 points. So proud of us. We have more to do, but we're on the right track. There are a couple of things in the program that I'm particularly proud of, not just the brownies. I created a site that's an instructional video log for my project for my YouTube for Educators course that I really didn't think was going to go where it went. And I'm so proud of it now and update it frequently. What I did was ask students and teachers at my site if they knew of available video on the internet, either that they had created or that they had found useful for their subject matter. Ask them to send me the link, and then I would include it in the warehouse, the catalog of videos that were addressing standards. And what a wonderful response I've had. Periodically I still get, actually almost sometimes daily, links for me to put on there. I'm very pleased with that. It's been quite an asset to the school. I'm going to continue to use that. I'm going to have to find a way to use it off the EdTech 2 server and within the confines of Microsoft's front page, which is what we use on my campus right now. But when funding improves, I've been told we'll try to find a site license to something like Dreamweaver, and wouldn't that be wonderful? So I don't think it's going to be abandoned. It's just going to be changing in format. I'm very pleased to say. Another thing that I'm very proud of that I did in this program was I created a virtual tour of evolutionary biology that my academic decathletes used last year to get them ready for our competition. They used it every day. And I'll tell you what, they loved it so much that this year they're actually helping me create a virtual tour of the French Revolution, which is our theme for this year, and have told me that we should do this every year. And I think we will. It's been a fabulous way to remember and learn and explore what we're supposed to be doing each year in academic decathlon. So I've also created a web quest that asks students to create an argumentative essay concerning the issue of global warming. Very timely. And you know, I didn't know it would be such a powerful lesson until at the end of the year when I asked students to write an evaluation on what they remembered the most about the year and what they liked the most about the year. It was almost unanimous about this web quest being their favorite thing. So, with that in mind, I've begun creating ones for the Crucible, for Things Fall Apart, for anything I can think of that will lend itself well to a web quest within my curriculum. And I think that it's going to be a wonderful thing for me to do for my department and for them to help me do as well, because I believe that part of my job now is to move them along, my staff members, and become techno-savvy themselves. You know, I learned a lot in this program. I learned a lot, and it certainly have praise for the program itself. As a personal thing, I found myself really having to manage my time well. And in some ways, I was so worried that I would take my time away from my little 5-year-old. But you see me here, in my bedroom. It's nighttime. The lights are on. My husband's back there somewhere, snoring. No, he's not snoring. But this is where I do my work. At night when the sun goes to bed, I sit here and I work hard. And as a personal thing to let you know, my son is pretty proud of me. I show him my videos, I show him my lessons, and I think it teaches him in some ways that learning never ends. It never ends. It just keeps going. So as I continue to raise my expectations for myself, my son, and my students, and broaden our horizons and keep going on and on and on, there's nowhere for any of us to go but up. Up, up, and away. See ya.